Hello, my name's Lee. I'm an ecologist. I do a lot of work with otters. I'm also founder of South Wales Otter Trust, and we have various voluntary activities going on. But today I'm going to be talking about camera traps. Now, there are lots of good guidance out there on different methods in camera trapping, cameras that can be used, and also some recent guidelines that also set a good precedent. So what I'm going through today is about good practice and sharing knowledge. I've been trialling this system for well over 8 months now, and I think it's good for everyone else to be aware of different options when we're making these decisions. When we're camera trapping otters, obviously disturbance is what we want to avoid. So what I've been working on seems to work really well and avoids disturbance in a massive way. One of the first things we need to think about is, why do we camera trap otter holts and couches, i.e. their resting places? Well, we're going to camera trap them for their conservation, to be able to find them and acknowledge and protect them. We're going to camera trap them for research, and more importantly, from our point of view, it's to inform building developments. So if we're doing a survey on a site that might impact a watercourse, we might have done record checks to establish if otters are present in the area. We'll have done a walkover survey. We might be finding evidence that otters are active in the area. And then we come across a hole in the bank. Now, a hole in the bank is a hole in the bank until we can prove otherwise. But we have to be aware that that hole in the bank might be a protected area like an otter holt. So we should act with a little bit of consideration. First thing we want to do is try and avoid mistakes. So let's say I'm an ecologist with very little experience of surveying otters, particularly holts and couches, and I'm told to go out on an otter survey, which I do, and I find evidence of otters in the way of spraints, footprints, maybe some anal jelly, maybe some runs or trails. One of these trails I decide to follow, and I find a hole in the bank. Now, in my mind, what's living in the hole? A hole in the bank is a hole in the bank until proven otherwise. So I decide to camera trap it. So I place the camera trap 1 to 3 meters from the entrance. I get a wooden stake, bang that in so I can get a bit of height, so I can cover everything. I'm there for quite a while, setting my camera up, putting the batteries in, setting the time, the date. The camera's going beep, beep, beep. But eventually I've got everything set up and I can leave the site. Now, I might have been at that holt or potential holt entrance for much longer than I needed to, had I have had the experience and knowledge of otter ecology and how my actions might disturb them. So rather than being there for a longer period of time, if all my equipment's ready and I try and set it up at a reasonable distance that is not going to cause disturbance, make sure the camera's ready to go, try and limit my time to 30 seconds, a minute there, then I'm creating as less disturbance as possible. Now, the further we can put cameras back to get what we need is good. So we need evidence it's being used, something going in and out. So if we can avoid placing the camera trap where it's going to be tripped over by an otter or another animal coming out and in, we can set it a bit further back and we can get the footage that we want, then that's good practice in showing how we're doing that and minimizing the disturbance that we might be causing. So one of the cameras, the camera that we're going to be talking about today, is actually a low glow camera. Now, low glow cameras emit a slight glow when they get triggered, and this can potentially cause disturbance, and some people might say yes, it does or it doesn't. So one of the preferred options is to go for no glow cameras. No glow cameras, you'll not get that little illumination, so potentially it's not something that's going to massively disturb them. But the issue is low glow cameras have half the trigger range as no glow cameras. So let's say the maximum range for a low glow camera is 5 meters. You're going to put the camera 5 meters or closer. With the camera I'm going to be showing you today, it's a low glow and worked quite well at 10 meters. I've tried and tested it. You can also put it up at some height. So you're going to have a low glow light 10 meters away from the whole entrance, up at height, literally minimizing any disturbance. So we're already thinking about how do we limit disturbance with cameras that are close when we can potentially put them further back. So traditionally, I've used a variety of cameras, various different ones, different makes, different models, different sizes, some holding 8 batteries, some holding 4, triggering at different lengths. Now these are very good and they do the job, particularly like the small ones because you can hide them really well. But these need regular visits to change the batteries, to change the SD card. So you might find yourself using these, that you're visiting the potential halt every week, possibly 10 days, with some models possibly 2 weeks. These are very simple, very cheap and budget. That's why I try not to use expensive ones, because if these get stolen, it's not a massive hole in my finances. Now, if we put those aside, and the camera that I've been trialing is this one. It's a Ceyomur. It's solar powered, and it also has space for a backup set of batteries to go in there. You can password protect it, which I generally do, and then you've got a little screen, and on this screen you can also access the various settings. Now when you're setting cameras up, you should always do it before you arrive at the location you're going to deploy them. So I have noted before various other ecologists turning up at site with their cameras, having to put the batteries in, turn the beep sound while they set the time and date, insert the SD card, format the SD card, check that it's working, close it all up, and then they're ready to go. So how long have we been at the potential halt entrance doing all of this when it could have just been a matter of it's all set up, tested, running, formatted, batteries running, and it's just a matter then of actually placing it where we want to be. Now, these Ceyomur cameras, I'm going to demonstrate some range. I put one out accidentally about 8 months ago in an area behind me on what was I've recorded an otter using once about 2 years ago. Basically this is just part of my conservation work with them, is to monitor poults, record them and then leave it alone. But I thought let's put a camera on it and let's see how it's being used now, because the otter activity in this area has slightly dropped off. So I placed the Ceyomur camera trap up. What I'd forgotten to do was to actually, in my enthusiasm to get the cameras up, I forgot to put any backup batteries. So although I'd charged the internal battery, it didn't have a backup supply until I checked it once I deployed it. Again, you need to check these things, get it all set up. Now this camera then lasted 8 months just off of solar power alone, in deep cover, in deep shade. So there were trees above it, there were bushes, and those have just got, the foliage has got thicker and thicker as summer's hit and it's come along, and this still works absolutely fine. So you do not even need to use a backup pack of batteries if you can get a reasonable amount of sunlight. This obviously means that you're not having to get batteries, you're not having to pay any visits to change them, you're being a bit greener because we're just running off the internal battery, and that's one of the things that makes this camera really good. The other side of it is that camera is connected via Bluetooth, so I can connect my phone or iPad to it from around 30 feet. Doing that, I can review the footage, I can download any footage I want, I can clear the SD card, and then I can adjust any settings and tweak them from potentially 30 meters from where the camera is sighted. So that means the disturbance is limited to placement and collection. Now when I go to collect this camera in, there's a lifetime view. So on my phone or the iPad, I can actually check what's happening around the halt, before I sneak in there and remove it. So this has many benefits. It is low glow, but to me, being able to place it 8-10 meters from the entrance and being able to review it from such a distance away means that the disturbance or potential disturbance is massively cut. And from our point of view of protecting the shy otters, this really works really well, and I think that it's a good system that we should be using along with some of the other systems and methods that are out there. We've got one of the Ceyomurs set up on the opposite side of the bank. It's approximately 65 feet away, and you can see how dense the vegetation cover is over there, and it still works absolutely fine. This means I'm not disturbing it at all. I'm actually on a public footpath, we're busy with dog walkers and joggers and other people, so I'm able literally to be able to come and get what I need, clear it, and then I'm off. Any otter that's over there will not have the faintest idea that I've even looked at the footage. I'm just getting ready now to go and deploy one of the cameras on what I think might be a couch. It's had some spraint around it, it's in a nice little tributary going to the river, so I'm just preparing myself now. Now, some of the earliest things that we need to think about is actually, have we got landowner's permission? Yes, I've got landowner's permission. Secondly, our smell. When I'm doing sensitive work like this, I'm very cautious not to put deodorants on, wear too much smelly aftershave, and I'm also slightly cautious of how I shower in the morning. I don't want to leave those smells, those strong smells. Now, the clothing I wear is generally my field gear, so that normally smells of the environment, which is an added bonus. And then I need to make sure I've got gloves. Obviously these provide a layer of scent and protection that we're not going to leave on the cameras. So I put my gloves on before I handle the camera too much, having previously been cleaned, and then I can just check my settings. I've got the date, I can set the card is formatted, I can give the camera a quick test to make sure it works. So I'll switch it on, just fire it up there, a little screen comes on, PIR sensors have come on, and now I'm getting the countdown to when it's going to start filming. So I'll just let that count down and make sure I've got clear view. Okay, that is now set and on. If anything moves in front of this, this will trigger it and this will be recorded. So I'm going to switch that off again now, close it back up, and I know that camera is ready to go. This means when I'm placing it, the time I'm there is an absolute minimum. The next thing I need to think about is how I'm placing it. So traditionally we use straps to be able to place the camera. Now, when you have straps, it's always good to bring different length straps. So this one is quite much shorter. I do have another shorter one, whereas this is the standard one that comes with it. And as you can see, it's quite long. Now, by the time you've gone over to where you want to place your camera, and you find actually I'm going to attach it to this small branch, this means you've got to wind this round and round and round and round, meaning you're there longer, but also when you come to collect it, you're spending longer having to unwind it. So just bring some different length pieces so you can pull out the one you need. Now in this case, this would be one that some people would use a stake, put a stake in the ground, possibly hammer it in, possibly push it in, and then be able to attach it to. But instead, I'm using these are detachable and they simply stake in the ground. I'll just finish putting that one together. You can move them at different angles, and that means that I can literally just connect as so. I'll do this. I can then place it into the ground, make sure it's long enough, and I can put my camera on top. I can extend it higher or I can extend it lower. It's also movable for different angles. So I won't set this up now because I'm going to be doing it shortly. The other one we use is the T-pieces, which can screw into wood. These mean not so much faffing with the straps, so they're always a good alternative to consider. We're about 15 meters away now, so what I want to avoid doing is creating desire lines. Desire lines are kind of unofficial paths, but what we don't want to do is create a path to the sensitive area we want to camera trap that other people and their dogs might follow, so I'll head off now. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe, add a like, and then put some comments if you need to know any more information, and we'll endeavour to get back to you. Thank you for watching.